It's not my words. It's the gospel. It's pure and it's the gospel that saves. And that's all the other stuff. And I think sometimes in Christian society today, we focus so much on the other stuff that we forget that it's the gospel that saves. Now, there is a role, and I'm a big believer in sanctification. I love discipleship. I love digging into the word. One of my favorite verses is that as we draw near to God, he actually draws near to us. Well, we still have to draw near.
Welcome to Let's Talk About That, the podcast where we dive into conversations about life and share stories of faith. We're thrilled to be on this journey with you. Whether you're a longtime listener, someone who calls the Orchard home, or you're just stopping by, Let's Talk About That is your space to explore, reflect, and connect. Join us as we navigate the intricacies of faith, spiritual formation, and daily life as we invite guests to share their stories with us. So grab a cup of coffee, find a comfortable space, and let's do this together. This is Let's Talk About That, where you can be encouraged and inspired by God's work in our lives.
All right, we're back. Let's talk about that. I am pumped up for the episode that we have today. Yeah, busting out the sound effects because I got two of my good friends sitting around the table with me this morning, Mr. Trey Lee. And yes, I will admit to the public, we are friends.
We are.
People don't think that.
Yeah, especially not after yesterday at church whenever I said, Chip's not cool.
Well, you're not wrong.
Right.
Like,
and I knew that, and you knew that.
It's not. Everybody's like, oh,
yeah, I was about to say,
not offended.
The gasp,
I really don't know what is relevant or cool.
The gasp in the room did not match the energy that I was bringing. And it happens.
Look, I told him when I got on stage, I wear a polo and usually jeans or shorts as my go-to everyday apparel. And if that's your everyday apparel, you're not cool.
Is it jeans or shorts or jeans that are shorts?
No,
because if it's jeans that are shorts, we got.
He is in a Gator shirt right now, so there's a good chance it's shorts
for both of you boys. Because the other good friend of the table is none other than the prodigal son. Come back to the Orchard for a little while, Mr. JT Clark.
Amen, man. Happy to be here, catching up with two of Lake City's finest.
You just call him the prodigal son? That's crazy, JT. You don't have to take that.
I mean, I feel that's a pretty accurate description.
I feel like that's a foreshadowing of a lot of what we're going to talk about in the podcast today. But you also have to know that there's a good chance at some point in this podcast that I'm going to have to edit it out, and you guys won't even know that I edited it out because the conversations that happen with me and JT and Trey we could just start talking about baseball. We could start talking about theology. We could start talking about JT being wrong about any number of subjects that we can dive into this morning. So, number one,
I like how you snuck that in there.
You did like that?
That was good.
All right. So I feel like I have to say this as we get going on the podcast today. There is no way that Nolan Ryan is the best pitcher of all time if he never won a Cy Young award. Not saying he's not one of the best pitchers of all time, but how can you be the greatest of all time if you were never the greatest at any given season?
First of all, I think that might be the first time you've admitted that he is one of the greatest of all time.
I said he's not. I said that he wouldn't make my top 5 rotation.
You're not going to make me side with Chip here. I have to, but please don't make me do that again. That's one. He does say he is one of the greatest of all time.
Okay. Well,
I said is I don't think he would make my starting rotation.
So we're about to get a rabbit hole here because
Number one is a rabbit trail.
Yeah, who are you
putting? It's a rabbit hole. I was just joking.
Who else has thrown?
See if I can slide that in there. JT didn't even bite.
I'm not. Who has thrown 7 no-hitter? Who's thrown 6? Who's thrown 5?
I'm sorry. I didn't know that because he had a good game that made him the greatest of all time.
He has a career ERA, check this real quick, of 2.3-ish.
Okay, played in the dead ball era.
Oh my goodness, when you throw 102 with a nasty,
I'm not saying he wasn't good.
Breaking ball.
I'm saying that. Tell me another. What's his career ERA?
3.19.
Okay, so that's very good. Yeah. All right, so tell me another player in another sport who is considered the greatest of all time but did not win the best at their position award once in their career.
He never won a Cy Young?
Never won a Cy Young.
All right, first of all, I don't think he is the greatest of all time.
Okay.
But he's definitely in the top 5.
I mean, I don't think that he's far out of the top 5, but he's not in the top 5.
Can I just say we can argue about him being the greatest of all time? You want to use that, that's fine. But statistically, he has the most strikeouts of all time.
Okay.
And the least hits per 9 inning given up
of all time.
Of all time.
And the most no-hitters of all time.
He also has the most walks.
Most no-hitters is
I will
relevant.
stand by this. Writers are who choose those awards. Writers, not other players. Writers.
Okay.
Also,
do writers choose those awards in other sports?
and I think they get them wrong a lot.
Yeah, but here's the thing. At least once in his career, if he was the greatest of all time, he would have won a Cy Young, right?
What was that? What was the
Imagine
opening
Michael
about?
Jordan never having won an MVP.
How much of this are we editing out? Because
We're leaving
we
this
went
in.
right down the rabbit trail.
We're leaving this
for
in.
Chip.
You know who we're leaving this in for? We're leaving this in for Hunter Abercrombie. Hunter, I expect to hear from you, and I'm ready.
I hope he is Team Nolan.
I have a feeling Hunter is going to be big Team Nolan.
Yeah, that feels like a Hunter thing.
Listen, Chip doesn't like Nolan because he is the antithesis
Of Greg Maddox.
of Chip.
Well,
All
fair
right?
enough.
Nolan Ryan.
I have never put somebody in a headlock and punched them unconscious. Which, if you wanted to sway me over to Team Nolan Ryan, you just
That's
talk
a good-
about Robin Ventura
that's a
getting
good one.
beat in.
by an old man.
Bro, that was peak Nolan Ryan. The only one that comes close to that in baseball fights for me is when Chan Ho Park tried to roundhouse kick the dude with his spikes on.
That was dope.
Do you remember
I
that?
don't remember that.
Oh my gosh, you have got to Google that.
Thankfully, we've got a guy over here that can probably pull that up before.
Trey is running AI support over here. Wait, no, it's not AI support. It's tech support. I don't know. He's
I don't
doing
know.
something.
I put my computer out.
Hey, when
so
you
I can
look up
like
Chan Ho Park's name, the first thing is Chan Ho Park kick, and then we talk 2 grand slams, and then we talk jersey. But the kick is the very first thing that's on there.
I don't need to see that. Apparently, my man had upset stomach one day when he was pitching. All right. Well, man, that officially derailed us. And now we need to shift to what we're talking about because JT's not on here just because I love. Oh, actually, Trey, you're actually going to show us the video right now?
Yeah.
Watch this. He's fixing to get in a fight. Now watch what he does.
Look at everybody's response first, and they're like, "What happened?"
Oh,
right?
he went straight like Jackie Chan Rush Hour 2 on him.
Yeah, that's
Trey, I need you to text me the link so that we can put it in the show notes so that people know that we're not entirely crazy. All right.
That does not make us not entirely crazy.
Fair enough. But we are not here today to enjoy debating baseball, even though it happens often. What we are here to talk about today is JT is in town for a special event happening tomorrow night. It is our regional FCA school back to kickoff bash extravaganza. Trey, I don't know the name of this event.
just a back to school kickoff.
Back to school
You had it.
kickoff.
You had it, and then
I just
you
kept going.
I think the added in word should definitely. That was like
Extravaganza. Sounds great, right?
extravaganza.
I mean, I feel like that was like the message version of
That's funny.
the name.
You know what? If you were a listener of the podcast, you know that we actually talked about different Bible translations here a while back, JT.
I actually listened to that one.
Did you?
You know which one I listened to last week was the episode, or 2 weeks ago, when AJ his AJ's farewell tour.
Yeah.
And I listened to it and actually got a lot of wisdom from you. You know, it's hard to admit that. So
Wild.
maybe we edit that out. But
A lot
no,
of chip
a lot of wisdom on some things, you know, moving to Alabama that, like, looking back, I'm like, man, I wish I would have listened to this when I moved to Alabama. But
When you moved to Alabama.
Yeah, but it was
Which
good.
was probably one
3
of the worst
years, man.
decisions of your life. Has it been that
it's
long?
coming up
No way.
on.
There's no way.
It's coming up, or the start of our 3rd year. So it's been 2 full years
Okay.
we have been in Alabama.
Yeah, I
We're
guess
starting year 3.
That's
now.
wild.
It's crazy, right?
That's wild.
Doesn't feel like it.
So that kind of brings us really to what we're talking about. JT is back in town to speak at the regional FCA back to school kickoff because Trey, who is friend of the show, been on for a while, is the FCA director for our region, but he was not the first FCA guy sitting at the table. JT was the first FCA guy that we had sitting around a table in the Orchard offices hanging out with us. And that's because you were in that position when you were here. So tell us a little bit about your position with FCA, what you're doing now, and kind of that whole transition process with Trey, because that's kind of a cool story.
Yeah, it's a super cool story. I mean, God's hand just all over it. And so here in Florida, I was the FCA area director, is technically what we call it. It's the
I just got the office stuck in my head with regional, I guess. I don't know.
Everybody calls it regional.
We can argue about that later. Not a great show. Yep, I said it.
This is restraint. Go ahead.
So anyways, I was the FCA area director, and when I when I started that job, number one, I had been a Christian for about 6 months.
Yeah.
About 6 months. And it's funny. The first person, how it came to be, I was at a meeting speaking as a coach. And they were talking about needing an area director in Lake City. And I'm like, oh man, I'm from Lake City. I was living in Gainesville at the time. This meeting was in Gainesville. I'm like, oh, I'm from Lake City. I know a bunch of people. Started a list. Trey's name was at the top of that list.
Of who should be
be the area director. My name was not on that list at all. And, you know, the short version of the story, it ends up being like offered to me. The guy's like, hey, this is your job. I'm like, yeah, you've lost your mind. I didn't even know Jesus 6 months ago. How am I going to lead a group of Christians when I'm barely a Christian at the time? And so it was cool, but I got into that role, and I think it was Trey that introduced us, because I didn't really, I'd heard of you. I had been to the Orchard.
That could go sideways in a hurry.
Heard of me. Yeah. Well, I had been, my daughter Cadence was coming to the Orchard at the time. So I had been early in my walk with Christ. I had been around a couple of times. So I knew who you were. And Trey put us together, and I can remember, our first conversation, we clicked pretty much right away. You invited me to a Tuesday meeting, which I was late to. And when I walk in, you're
I'm shocked as you relate to the podcast today.
Well, I got here at 9.
Ish.
I had something going on. I told well, hey, I've got this, but I can come afterwards. Like, yeah, sure. Fine. No problem. Walk in, and you're like, all right, hey, this is JT. He's the new area director. Hey, tell him what you do and share your testimony real quick. Like, okay. On the spot.
I can do
with
this.
Nobody that I know at all share my testimony. What was really cool about that, Eddie is sitting there. I'm sharing my testimony. And I think he told me to do the 5-minute version. And I'm sharing my testimony, and all of a sudden Eddie pops up, and I didn't know him at the time. He goes, I've been praying for you for years. I'm like, that's awesome. Who are you? But it was really cool.
That's right.
Yeah. Trey.
Well, and that's because Trey and you have a history beyond FCA.
Yeah.
Yep. Trey was, he was a first baseman for me. I used to coach baseball.
He was a big chemistry guy.
Yeah.
Big dugout guy.
Big dugout guy. Trey was, he was one of my favorite players to coach, not to, pump his head up over here or anything, but he was a team guy, and he would do what was best for the team. And sometimes that's challenging. And I remember one of the hardest conversations I've had in my coaching life was telling Trey Lee that he was not going to play this particular game, because he'd been playing, without getting to all the weeds of it, but he'd been playing and probably expected to play that day, but just something that was going on. It just, in my opinion, it wasn't the best thing for the team.
Coaches got to coach, right?
Yeah. And it was challenging, man. It was really hard.
So that's why I think sports, and specifically coaches, are usually some of the best leaders out there, because you're used to making hard decisions, people that you like, and having to deal with it. And yeah, I get that. Trey was probably one of those guys that you were like, hey, if we send Trey out to go start a fight with the best player on the other team and they both get kicked, that's a net win.
That's a win.
True. No, hey, let me tell you though.
So I was that
catching
guy too.
Strays.
So funny story about that game though, in particular. So I had an Achilles heel at first base, because first base at Columbia High School apparently is an Indian burial ground. And first baseman cannot catch pop-ups there. And I caught the yips on pop-ups. The very first at bat of that game, there's a pop up to the first baseman, and I'm a little salty. And so this was a little salty, but I looked at JT. I said, great coaching decision there, coach. And just walked off, and he looked at me like, I don't know how to respond to
the
that.
love of Christ.
I'm saying, I don't know if I remember that.
I do. I remember. I felt so good about saying it, but also I meant it too. I was trying to lighten the mood a little bit, but also I was a little salty. It was pretty funny though.
I vaguely remember that. So did he catch it?
Yeah, he caught it.
Oh, he caught it. Okay, the guy caught it. If he had dropped it, it probably would have went a different way.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have said it probably.
All right. Pause. JT, were you coaching Trey when he hit a double off of Matt Pennington?
Yes.
Did it happen?
Yes.
Oh, there it is. Wait, hold on. I got you, Trey. There has been considerable debate between Matt and Trey whether it actually happened. And I've never until this moment thought I could ask you.
Listen, here's another thing that Matt Pennington swears was not him, but I can't think of another lefty. So Hunter Abercrombie, if you're listening, you can help us here. I don't remember what year it was, but I think it was like Matt's freshman, maybe sophomore year. We stole home first and third situation with a left-handed pitcher from Swanee High School at Columbia. Ronnie Gray's coaching, Philip Hurst is coaching at the time. We steal home. I can't remember if it was a walk-off, but we beat them 3-2.
Oh.
And I can't think of another lefty
that it would have been.
Matt swears it's not him.
Wow.
So,
wow.
But whoever that lefty was,
I was not there because Matt is older than me. So,
That's awesome. That's awesome. So that's good. So, all right, Trey, JT, have a history, but at this time, JT, you are not what we would call a follower of Jesus.
No, I was definitely not.
Great segue into a story that has to be shared today.
Definitely was not a follower of Jesus, man. And that was what was so cool about Eddie praying for me, is that Trey and him had been meeting, and he would ask Eddie to join him in prayer for his coach, who was extremely lost. And
which, let me say, I used to invite you to church, and you told me you would come to church.
I did. I did come to church eventually.
No, but you told me you would. You said if we would let you skate around and and check people into the wall like it's a hockey arena. And Eddie said, tell him, come on, we'll let him skate if he wants to.
Old Orchard days. I forgot about that.
I'm fine with that. Check this out. We're going to stop the podcast for a minute to let me share with you a reminder about O-Day. It's coming up on August the 17th. If you missed last year, you do not want to miss this year. O-Day happens on the Swanee River at Camp Anderson Anchored in Old Town, Florida. There's going to be the Blob. There's going to be Gel Blasters, the pool, games for kids, and we're going to end with a family night of worship that I promise you your kids are going to enjoy. So there is still time. Go ahead, mark it down on your calendars. Join us Sunday, August 17th, 2 p.m., Camp Anderson Acre for O-Day 2025. You're not going to want to miss it. All right, well, let's hop back into our conversation.
The story that Trey is referring to, so it's one summer, and I go out to the field, and I always wanted my players to be able to hit in the cages. Like, I would leave balls unlocked and the room that doesn't have a lock, and, pick up after yourself. It's not that hard, right? Pretty low expectation in my opinion. So I come out of the field one day and there's baseballs everywhere. And a couple players come rolling in and, I'm kindly asking them, hey, why did you guys leave the balls out? And they tell me that it was Trey that left them out. So which was a testament to how much I was at the field hitting. Let me just say. Exactly. Yeah. So
not my stats, just the balls being out.
Were the balls behind home plate?
So, I'm not kindly asking people, like, I'm enraged. I am not happy. It's the summer. It's hot. I'm out there to cut grass. I don't want to go pick up balls. So they tell me it's Trey, and I call Trey. I get out my phone and I call Trey. And I'm not going to make you test your bleep skills.
Wait, hold, please. Let's see. I don't know where it's at. I probably have it on.
Yeah, well,
he's not.
There we go. We got it. So I call Trey, and when he answers, I am in mid. Let's say
there are a lot of words.
There's a lot of there's a lot of words coming out of why.
Wait, as the kids say. You were crashing out.
Yes.
I was crashing out.
He was crashing out.
I was definitely crashing out. And bleepity bleep bleep. How can you bleep? And he's trying to.
Coach.
Yeah. And I'm still going. And finally I'm like, what? He's like.
Couldn't have been me. I've been at church camp all week long in Alabama.
So here's my only response. My response is I literally say, well, pray for me. And I hang up. Cause at that point, I've just cussed this kid. He's a kid at the time. He's maybe 16 at best. He's a young player. It's not like he's a senior. And I'm dog cussing him. If I'm being honest, I am. I'm giving it to him. And that's what he says. What else do you say?
That's
pray for me.
Immediately. Yeah. Pray for me.
And just hang up. Just hang up. And
that's phenomenal.
But what?
I was wondering because you guys kept referencing, you got to tell the camp story. And I'm like, this is not, Trey was at camp. That's pretty good.
Trey was definitely at camp.
So who was the culprit?
I don't know. To this day, I don't really know. I've got my suspicions.
Blake King.
No, Blake would not have been up there hitting. No offense to Blake. Love you. He wouldn't have been up there hitting.
Blake had the natural ability. He was not
He was not the worker.
He had God-given talent. He wasn't the hardest worker. Love you too, Blake, but it's just a fact. I don't know, but it was really cool though. Like I can look back now and see all the people that the Lord put in my life that I didn't even realize how much they were praying for me, how much they were not just praying for me themselves, but asking others to pray for me. And
that's awesome.
What's really cool is, I took this all, it worked.
Yeah.
Like my sister shared a testimony when I came to faith. She shared a testimony of her prayers and like,
we'll do that. Share with us, kind of how you came to faith, because, and you don't have to go, super deep into, life before Christ, but like, as you said, you were, extremely lost in your words, kind of doing your thing. And so much so that post salvation working with FCA, some of the response is, oh, that guy's working for us. So share with us a little bit of your testimony,
man. So, lost is lost, as I say, but I definitely explored all the avenues of lostness, and it's really cool. FCA is actually a huge part of my story. I was coached baseball. I still actually somehow coach baseball. I can't get away from it, but was coaching, and a good friend of mine, a guy named Ron Brooks, who is the head coach at Buchholz High School, or was the head coach. He just retired.
Happy retirement, Ron.
But he calls me one day and he's like, hey man, I want you to come coach with me. And I'm like, coach with you? Like, we just beat you, number one. You just graduated a bunch of people.
That was a flex.
It was. Just graduated a bunch of people. We were returning everybody. I was at Santa Fe High School at the time. And he is like, no, man, I've been praying about it. I'm like, well, that's great.
Good for you, I guess.
Yeah, awesome. Like, well, that's not going to help. But ended up, man, I was in a really rough place. There's so many times that I, looking back, could say that I hit rock bottom. And I think really it was just, I was at rock bottom and then kept finding a way to dig deeper and find another new rock bottom, and was, doing a lot of things that were not good for my life, and was extremely depressed, didn't realize it. And was drinking, doing other things. And I finally go to this meeting with Ron, and in Florida, if you guys don't know this, we can, you don't have to be a teacher to coach high school sports in the state of Florida. So I met with a booster club president, and they're talking to me about baseball. And here I am, I'm like looking at these guys and I'm like, why do y'all want me to coach baseball? And I basically took my trash can of sin and dumped it out on the table. Like, here's what I do. Like, this is my life. Why do you want me? And the guy sitting at the table, the booster club president, looks at me. He's like, hey, can I pray for you? And I said something, you might need the bleep button again, but I was like, well, it can't hurt. There was probably a few more adjectives thrown in. And the way he prayed was something different than I had ever really heard. Like, he wasn't, the old saying, even atheists pray in the foxhole. Like, I had prayed before. Usually when I had done something stupid and I needed God to get me out of it, it'd be like, Lord, if you're there, do this for me.
Yeah.
Like a cosmic ATM. And he just prayed very different. It was, along the lines of, Lord, I pray that you would reveal yourself to JT, that he would find comfort in knowing who you are, and your will for his life, and just all these things that weren't, hey man, we really want him to come coach baseball with us. Like, pray for that. So it was different. And that wasn't like an instant, oh, I believe in God moment, but it was a, let me
move the ball down the field.
And so fast forward in the story, I decided to go coach at Buchholz, which had to be a God thing, because I had just told them all the things that I did that they didn't need to hire me for, and they still hired me, because thankfully somehow I coached baseball fairly well, I guess. So that's Trey, you're supposed to affirm that.
Yeah, I was going to let you finish the story, but I was going to follow up with how good of a baseball coach you are. And I think there's a reason you're continuing to coach.
Yeah. But, so I go to campus after I accept the job. It's like the middle of the summer, first day on campus. I'm walking in and I meet two people this day. It's crazy. So I'm walking in to meet with Ron, the head coach, and walking out is a guy named Noah Wilbanks, who is the Moose, the big boss for FC.
Yeah, he's my boss now.
He's Trey's boss now. I meet him. He's walking out as I'm walking in, and he's like, Coach, glad to meet you. Can't wait to work with you one day. I assumed he meant in the aspect of me being a coach and him being FCA, maybe he was being prophetic, and we did actually end up. You never know.
He loves that Buchholz baseball coaches huddle, though.
Yeah,
still to this day.
So I go in, I meet him, go in and meet with Ron, the head coach. We talk baseball. Walking out, that same booster club president is walking in. And I did not know this at the time. All I knew was his son was the catcher and was a big part of the reason they were bringing me in was to work with catchers. And he's like, man, I'm so happy you're here. I don't know if you know this, but I'm the pastor of a church here in town. And I'm instantly like, oh, I better go pretend. I just told this guy all these things.
Throw the mask on.
Exactly. So, which I think we do a lot in the South in general. So I put the mask on, and I had come to the realization at that point that, okay, maybe there's something to this. I can at least go pretend. And I went to church that Sunday, and I left church that day knowing two things. One, that God was real, and two, that I was going to hell. Like, I mean, I did not comprehend the gospel in that moment. I don't know if they didn't share it that day or whatever, but the sermon was on God's love. And I can remember leaving there and just thinking there's no, like, okay, I believe in God, but there's no way he can love me because of all these things that I have done in my life.
So what changed to bring you that realization? Like, the joke is, did the lights flicker and you're like, oh, that must be God? What flipped that switch?
Man, I don't know. I mean, I would argue just an inward.
One would say the Holy Spirit.
I would say my argument, my theology would say an inward working of the Holy Spirit in my life and making me aware of the sin. And it was honestly, the next 2 weeks were actually some of the darkest 2 weeks of my life. Because so here I am, I believe in God. I believe he is real. I believe he is creator. I believe all the things other than the fact that I didn't know Jesus at the time. So that next 2 weeks, I mean, I went on a 2-week bender of everything that I could do to try to numb that feeling of trying to do it. And Ron calls me and he's like, hey man, I need you to go to this FCA thing tonight. And I'm like,
which was a kickoff class.
Well, I was going to get there. Thanks for stealing the thunder.
My bad.
There is a name. Then.
Yeah. So the Gainesville version is called
back to school kickoff.
That's what we're calling it.
It's the Gainesville version of it was called the Kickoff Classic.
That's a cooler name, Trey.
I agree.
So
you win.
So I get told to go to this, and I'm like, not really my thing. And Ron's like, let me rephrase, like, this is your first official act as Buchholz coach. Like, I need you to go. The FCA guy, Noah, he does a lot for us. He asked us to come. And he did. He specifically asked, here's the funny part of the story. He didn't remember my name, but he's like, he calls Ron. He's like, Ron, I need you and your new coach to come. And he's told me this since, like, I was just on his heart that day as he was praying for his events. The new baseball coach at Buchholz needs to be here. And praise God that I was. So I go to this event. Thankfully, Ron called me early enough in the day that I was presentable to go in public that night. But I go to this event. I can remember, to steal a little thunder from tomorrow, I'm sure I'll say this. I was sitting in the second row, the third seat on the right side. If you're standing on the stage, it's Anthem Church in Gainesville. I mean, I can go to this day and point to the seat I was sitting in. And a guy named Frank Reynosa was speaking that night. He does a lot. He was an FCA guy. Now he does some prison ministry. He does all sorts of different.
He's doing the Kickoff Classic in Gainesville again this year.
Dude, he's awesome.
Yeah.
He is awesome. And we go to this event, and there's a lot of things that happened when I transitioned from Santa Fe to Buchholz. And a lot of those things were happening that night. And I was, probably sending I was sending a text similar to the phone call that I made to Trey before the event started. But Frank starts sharing his testimony, and he's sharing the gospel. And, I'm very careful of, like, I'm not saying that I heard like the audible voice of God, but that feeling, that felt, that heart, whatever you want to call it. Maybe it was the audible, I don't know. But as Frank is sharing his story, man, his testimony, lost is lost, but he started drinking when he was 12. He started smoking weed when he was like 14. He sold drugs. He ends up in prison, all the things. And I'm telling you, as clear as it's like, you ever had a dream where everything in front of you can see, and everything beside you sort of blurry? That's how I felt. I felt like he was talking directly to me, and as clear as day, it's like, if I can use him, I can use you. And
yeah, it's funny. I've heard a guy say one time that it wasn't the audible voice of God. It was way clearer than that.
Yeah.
And that makes sense to me, especially as I'm getting older and, has to have Leanne repeat herself like 3 times, but no, it's way clearer than that. You just know. And man, it's crazy. I remember him so he goes through an altar call, and it's the old fashioned, every head bowed, every eye closed. And he starts with, and he keeps resharing. I know this now. I didn't know the time, I didn't know anything, but he keeps resharing a shortened version of the gospel every time. And he's like, if you believe that, raise your hand. And well, if you can raise your hand, you can look up. If you can look up, you can stand up. I remember all 3 of those. And then apparently he said, if you believe, then you can come to the front of this church. I don't really remember going to the front of the church, but I was at the front of the church. You remember you were there?
I remember I was there, and it's crazy. I remember the event ends, they sing a worship song, do all the things, and the event ends, and I've still got tears a little bit in my eyes, and David Barber, Shane Barber's dad, comes walking over. He's like, "What are you doing here?" Which is probably a good response. And I'm like, I didn't know what was going on. I had no clue. And I just remember the kids were getting a Bible that night, and I didn't own a Bible. I'm like, I got to go. Dave, not to be rude, man, I need a Bible. I got to get one of these Bibles. He says, "Oh, you need a Bible?" Takes me to the car, gives me a brand new, thankfully it was a study Bible, gives me a study Bible, and invites me to lunch the next day. I realized that, looking back on it, he's like, okay, he knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And took me to lunch, and man, we actually met for a little while going to lunch, and then it's just the Lord. What was really cool, man, I love FCA, and that event is a huge part of my testimony. But the greatest thing for me was I got plugged into a local church.
Yep. Yeah.
And it was the local church that really, I started going to church at that, the pastor was my catcher's dad. It's the only person I knew at the time. So I started going to church there, and had, man, just tremendous people in my life that pointed me in the right direction, started discipling me. Had no clue what that meant back then. And they just started doing it, though. And looking back on it now, I'm like, oh, okay, I know what you were doing.
Yeah, I know what that is.
I would call Trey and ask him questions. We went on a walk.
I was about to say, did you showed up at my house at 10:30 one night, shortly after, maybe even the night of the event. I don't remember, but me and Savannah are sitting there watching a movie or something. This is pre-kids, and I'm in my pajamas, and JT's like, "Hey, you want to meet me outside for a walk?" And I'm like, "Sure." He's like, "All right, I'm in your driveway." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Now.
Yeah. It was definitely around that time. We're going on, it was just so cool.
We probably walked for 3 hours.
We did.
Yeah.
And got into, I knew nothing. I knew that I was a sinner. I knew that Jesus died for me. And that was the extent of my knowledge.
Isn't it crazy how active you can be in a faith that doesn't know much more than that?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what, man, the power and my prayer for tomorrow at this event, such a full circle moment. This is the event, not the exact location, but this is the event where the Lord saved me.
Yeah.
And really cool to be having that opportunity, but it's also a comfort. It's not my words. It's the gospel.
Yeah.
It's pure, and it's the gospel that saves. And that's all. All the other stuff. And I think sometimes in Christian society today, we focus so much on the other stuff that we forget that it's the gospel that saves. Now, there is a role, and I'm a big believer in sanctification. I love discipleship. I love digging into the word. One of my favorite verses is that as we draw near to God, he actually draws near to us. Well, we still have to draw near. We attempt to draw near. So there's importance in spiritual formation.
I see what you did there.
There is an importance in that, but ultimately, what saved me and what completely, I would argue it was, if it wasn't a 180, it was a 179, an instant 179.
That's great.
And it was just limited knowledge and finding a local church, the huddle at Buchholz, really cool story, man. We had 3 guys at the start of the year in that huddle. 3.
Yeah.
4, actually, because me, Noah, Ron, and we had one player. By the end of the year, we had like 27.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, it was cool. It was just what God was doing. And
one of those guys now works for FCA.
He does.
Yeah, Jackson Peters.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was really cool to see what God was doing. And man, and it's funny how I ended up coming to this event to speak tomorrow. Trey, I saw it on Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a cool story. I was hoping you were going to share this.
Newsletter something. I think it was your newsletter.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That he made here in the office.
I'm sure.
I did.
I'm sure he did. Probably in that desk right over there.
Probably.
Yeah. So I see it on the news. It was definitely a newsletter. And it just warmed my heart because one, that's where I got saved.
Me immediately.
Two, the first ever whatever kickoff extravaganza, classic back to school bash or whatever it's called up
extravaganza.
Here. Yeah. Actually,
are you going to work extravaganza in tomorrow night, Trey?
I'll pray about it.
I will. I got you, dog.
That's my boy right there.
You're fired.
But I also, the first one that was ever in Columbia County for this area up here, we actually did a couple years ago that I was a part of it right before. Actually,
you planned it. Let's be honest. You weren't a part of it. You made the event.
I had a great board that came alongside me and helped make this event happen and had some buy-in from the community, and it was a great event. So this event is special to me. And so I see it immediately. I take a screenshot and I think I just sent like a heart or something, you know, like that.
Was that part of your Snap streak? It
was. We have a Snap streak.
Yeah, we do.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Chip's jealous. It's all right. So, I sent it to him with a heart, and did I ask who was speaking, or you asked who?
It came up. I don't remember exactly how it went down, but yeah, that's a crazy story in and of itself.
Yeah, it was like, I was just so overjoyed, and I was actually, Trey didn't know this, but I was going to come, like, just be here and just support him and just be a part of it. And, through talk, I think you actually called me, maybe.
Yeah.
And we just got talking, and he's like, well, he goes, you could be praying about it. I'm trying to figure out who's going to speak, because the original speaker, I can fully admit that I'm like the bottom of the barrel choice. So
hey, it's fine.
God's plan.
Look, if you're the third choice, at least you were thinking of me. You know what I mean?
Hey, listen, no, it literally, and I'll tell it from my perspective, like, it's God's sovereignty, because you say you're the third choice. You were the first person I thought of. And then my flesh was like, no, like, I'm going to chase a big fish here. No offense to you, JT. I adore you.
None taken.
Wow. But I'm going to chase a big fish here. Wow. And part of it was, and this struggle, like, we want to put somebody in front of these kids that they're just like, oh my gosh, they're going to come. Right. So anyways,
Nolan Ryan.
I had
clearly not me.
Okay. Listen, hold on. Let me unpack. So I had a gold medalist lined up. He was coming. All right. And it was great, but he has an Olympic qualifier that day, and that's somewhat important. So he's not able, he calls, he's like, hey, I'm not able to make it, whatever.
Store up your treasures in heaven.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So then JT and I are talking again, and he's like, well, why don't you call the FSU team chaplain who works for FCA? And I'm like, yeah, maybe, like, I'll call him. And I called him. I did end up calling him. And the whole time I'm like, it's going to be JT. Like, I know it's going to be JT. JT has already told me he's open on that date. Yeah. Like, I know I'm going to, and then,
I was like, Trey confirmed your availability and then was like, but let me ask somebody else.
Okay. Now to JT's, he said like, hey, call around, but I'll keep it open if you don't find anybody. He was being gracious. And so I called the FSU team chaplain. I called the UF team chaplain. They're like, it's fall camp. No way. Can't do it. Like, can't be there. And I'm like, all right. Like, I get that. And then eventually I was just like, why am I even playing? Like, JT is going to knock this out of the park. And like, call JT. I'm like, hey brother, you're up. And he's like, all right, deal.
Yeah.
Tag.
So it's funny because on my side of things, like that's exactly how it goes down. And I sort of felt that pressure too. Like, okay, I could do this, but is this the time to do it? Is this the moment to come back? Is this what, the Lord wants us to do? And I don't have a gold medal. I'm not like this big super rock star, but, I was just praying about it. And honestly, I was praying for him to find someone. Like, I just wanted to come hang out, catch up with you guys, and was just praying for him to find someone. And then like, the more I was praying about it, the more the Lord was comforting me in, hey, this can be a really cool full circle moment.
Yeah, full circle moment.
Yeah. And it's just, I get so nervous of the weightiness of I would venture to say that a large portion of the people in attendance at this event will be unsaved people. And I sometimes I put the weight on myself of, I have to save them, which guess what? I can't do that. And the Lord always reminds me of that. And, even just telling the story a minute ago, like, it's so simple.
Yeah.
Just articulate the gospel. Well, that's it.
It's like, just don't get in the way.
Exactly.
Like, be as small of a distraction as possible.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Trey, why don't you kind of rewind a little bit here and talk about what it was like for you when former coach, current friend JT Clark comes to faith? And that's something that you'd been praying for, like JT said, since you'd been meeting with Eddie in high school.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I even want to go back before he even came to faith. When I played for JT, as lost as he was, I loved playing for JT. He could have got me to run through a brick wall. JT's the only coach who's ever suspended me.
I don't even know the story, but I feel like
it's too long to tell.
Deserved.
It's too long to tell.
JT, was it deserved?
Actually, now, no, but he admitted to something that he didn't do.
Oh.
The short version of the story is we had an incident that could have very easily been considered hazing. And I went through the due diligence of trying to figure it out. And basically what we had decided is, all right, if their name appears on the list of, Dummy put his own name on the list.
No, it was the night of, whenever you asked us, before the due diligence started to happen, JT said, who did it? And nobody stood up. And I was like, well, I'll just run it. Like, instead of the whole team having to run, I'll just go take the punishment. Well, that was my name being put on the list. I did not know it. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, but he owned it.
Slifers brothers.
Yeah. I sat out and I didn't get a hit off Matt that day. That's fine. Good for Matt. But, anyways, so coming full circle though, like I loved JT. We were friends after I graduated high school, and we talked all the time, and we had a great relationship, and JT knew where I stood on things. And, I knew in my heart of hearts, like, I need to, behave in a way that doesn't deter JT from the gospel. And I wasn't perfect in that, but like for years,
gospel living that supports your gospel doctrine.
Yes. And so for 10-ish years or so, I just tried to be a friend that, and it was genuine because I loved JT. That was not going to deter him from, what God was going to do in his life. And I'm not going to lie, there were seasons where I was like, this ain't never going to happen, like, brother. But then,
Lord, it ain't working.
It's funny though. JT and I had a relationship. I don't know. God definitely was orchestrating this, because JT would tell you for years, if you texted me, Trey, out of the blue, I knew something bad was happening in my life, and I was glad that you were praying for me. He's like, because as soon as you would text me and say, hey man, just thinking about you, praying for you, he's like, everything would spiral downhill the next day. And it was the weirdest thing. And so when he shows up to my house that night at 10:30, I'm not going to lie, I was like, what in the world did JT get into today? And we're having
gospel, baby.
We're having this conversation.
I love that.
And for the first time,
we need to clip that and make that the intro to the podcast. The gospel, baby.
Yeah. But for the first time, we're walking around, and JT's not justifying his sin anymore. JT is saying, I don't know what to do. I don't want to do this anymore. And, there's a statistic that's been out recently about the opportunity for Christians, like how many don't ever get an opportunity to lead somebody to Christ, in conversations and this. And it's an astoundingly high percentage of people who never have a gospel conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
That was one that was like, man, like I wanted to give up on it multiple times, and God this started being orchestrated in 2010 or whenever it was that JT and I met. And so
I think it's to the point that if you're praying for somebody and they don't come to faith the first 3 days that you pray for them.
Yeah.
That no does not mean never.
Right.
And silence does not mean no.
Yeah. And
so I think that's a big thing to keep in mind. Like, it's the long game.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And so, and to the other side of that, JT has seen me at some low points and some crazy moments, and he called me out before he was saved on me not behaving like a believer. But I think in some ways,
why he suspended you?
No, that was not why. He could have suspended me for something else probably. But, there was like that. I don't know. I say all that to say, like, the long game is so important, because it's not our timing. It's God's timing. And I'm so thankful on this side of it to have a friend, a brother in Christ. JT knows more scripture than I do at this point. I guarantee you that. And this dude's in seminary and
he's going to the Southern Baptist.
Yes. And,
Seminary.
And it just blows my mind.
I got you, baby. I got you.
But not to ramble. I really want to wrap this up here. I would not be in the position that I'm in today without JT. And that sounds crazy to say, but like God used all of those 10, 12, 15, whatever, however many years it's been to get me to this position. And I would not have left, but the influence of a coach in my life, of JT, who no matter how lost he was for a great part of our relationship, I respected him. I loved him. I saw him as a mentor and a dear friend. And then he calls me the day that he decides he's moving to Auburn and is like, hey, this job is like, you should have had this job before I did.
Well, going back, like, you said, JT, that was, Trey was the first name on your list.
He was the first name on my list and the first time I did it. And then I don't know if you remember this, Chip. When I met you the first time, I told you that I didn't feel like I was going to be at FCA long. No,
and you told me you thought Trey was a dude.
And I told you that. And so
I had no interest. None.
And I hit him with would you pray about it?
To be clear, Trey wouldn't even leave teaching for a full-time position at the Orchard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny though, because as much as he Snapchats me from that desk, I assume he is a full-time pastor.
Here's a shameless plug. If anybody has an office I can use, let me know.
So, I mean, I never got to sit at your desk. I did have an access code to the Orchard and got.
Did we have was I in this office before you left?
It was probably just kind of being put together.
Yes. Where was it? Did you have another one in this building?
Mm-hmm. At some point?
It's like the second door on the left.
Yeah, I think that's where you were. Maybe.
Okay.
I don't remember. I rarely, the only time I got to come over here was when AJ, after like 8 months after the Orange conference, actually reimbursed me, turned in the stuff to get my mileage.
Oh my God.
I mean, I think that's the only time I ever came in this building. And to tell you, I think you had just moved in when I was moving to Auburn.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But no, it was really cool to be able to go back to him and like, listen, man, like you were on the list this first time, like you're at the top again. Like there's some other people that are potentially being looked at, but like I'm telling you, this is your job. The charismatic in me was like, listen, man, the Lord's told me this is yours.
Thus saith the Lord.
So, but no, it was cool to watch him pray through it and go through it. And just, it's all full circle. And God's plan is so much greater than our own. Yeah. And the way I say this all the time, like a lot of times when we're praying, like we really want God to come alongside and bless our plans.
Oh yeah. For sure.
It's like, Lord, like I'm doing that. And it's a good thing that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like
it's not God, get me in line. It's God, help me accomplish X, Y, and Z.
Exactly. Right. And it's really cool to see how he actually works through things. And I mean, there was Trey being the good influence. There was a time we still love March Madness, and we used to all gather at Joey Edge's house and watch March Madness. And Trey would bring
so many name drops on this podcast.
There is.
Loving it.
Dude, the buffalo chicken dip that Trey, I think it's Trey's mom actually that made it, but
shout out Jennifer Lee, another name.
Fire. He would always bring that. I would always bring the alcohol. But it's funny. Trey always lived a gospel-centered life, in my opinion, from what I could see. And he would speak truth, but he would never judge or never made me feel.
Oh yeah, I was judging you hardcore.
Yeah, so he might have been inside, but he always was an example. As much as that, I've told people this millions of times, like even though I was his coach, like I learned more from him, especially in our friendship afterwards. And it started because he reached out, he started coaching, middle school baseball. And
well, I think, one thing that you said, I think super important is that you knew where Trey was at and you knew what Trey said that he believed. And so your expectation as a lost person was that he was going to live that way. I think sometimes we can try to hide what we believe or like play it down so that we, fit in straight. But if you as a lost person know that what you expect is him to just live like he actually believes what he says he believes, and I think that's something that's underrated a lot. Well, we are running out of time, but something I want to do before we finish up wind down today is we've done it once or twice maybe on the podcast, but I want you guys to talk about FCA in general and how people can support you specifically, but FCA even generally, because it's a ministry that's been around forever. I was, back in high school, I was president of the FCA huddle at Taylor County High School and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's not new. It's been here and it's going to be here.
71 years next month. So
that's a company man.
That's
right
why
there.
He's director.
That's a company man right there.
Yeah, in Alabama, I don't know if I ever said this, I am actually back to being a rep, which I love. Because I don't have to remember.
Coach, you be repping everything.
I rep, man. I'm in the streets.
The streets killed me.
What's the old quote? I want to do.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
There's a missionary quote from a guy, I can't remember the guy's name, but like 1930s ish doing ministry in Africa. And he's like, you guys can do your ministry in the church. I'm doing mine within a yard of hell. And so that's the difference between a rep and a director.
Yeah, you're in Alabama. Yeah, I get it.
I'm sitting at Chip's desk. You're in the field, right?
Well, nobody's going to appreciate my throwing shade at Alabama joke.
I've actually missed it.
I said, you're in Alabama. Anyway.
Fair enough.
I'm in Auburn. I mean, that's more like 6 inches.
Wow.
I'm a Georgia fan. Gainesville's the same.
Yeah.
The Lord is sending me into these dark places.
But
really.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think, and neither of us would say this like in a conversation. In fact, I get very uncomfortable saying this in a conversation, but realistically, we are missionaries. That is what we are. That is who we are.
100%.
And so
not even an informal missionary,
right? No,
formal missionary.
Right. And so we live off of support raising. And so, donations from, and it's so funny. The first thing everybody says is, why don't you just talk to a church? And a lot of churches support, a lot of them do. A lot of churches are not supporting our salary, right? That's not going to happen. That's a big check. I mean, it could happen. God could make that happen. It does happen for some, but it's not the typical method. And so we live off of monthly support from, your average Joe who says, my family's willing to not go out to eat one night this month and give you $100 this month. And then we have to meet more and more people along the way. And that's how we raise our funds to fund this ministry. And part of our funding is our personal salaries. And so it's unique. It's different. And, it's hard when
it's not unique in the sense that's what missionaries have done for a long time. Not all missionaries, which by the way, is shout out why we're still a Southern Baptist church at the Orchard is because the Southern Baptist cooperative program that funds missionaries keeps missionaries from having to support raise their own salaries. Right. However, most missionaries do support raise. That's what you're doing as a missionary.
Yeah.
Man, what really so our version of Trey, our director in Alabama, he says it this way, and it really helped me flip the script because it's hard for me to talk to people about, hey, I need you to support me. I need you to support JT. Like my salary is my ministry budget is my salary. Yes, it's some ministry events, but the big chunk of our support raising is for us to be able to put food on the table and
for our first ministry.
Yes, for our first ministry. And that was challenging for me. I left a world where I was making 6 figures. I do not make 6 figures in the missionary world.
Nor do I, let me just say.
So, newsflash. But the way he says it, and I'm going to mess up his quote, but he says, if you don't support us, we cannot go share the gospel with these kids because we have to leave and get, we got to put food on the table for our families. And so if you want someone to do this long term, they need a salary that will keep them long term. And it really flipped my switch. In East Alabama, don't get me wrong, Auburn is a generous community and there is some very wealthy people in Auburn area, but there's a lot more blue collar people than there are wealthy people.
Yeah.
And having one person at $100 a month is great. Having 10 people at $10 a month is better, in my opinion.
Well, so I think that's where you guys experience in FCA is really what we've experienced as a whole at the Orchard is that the Orchard is funded not through a few large givers, but through a lot of average givers. Right, yeah. And the biggest step at our church that we need to take in giving is not having a few people become extravagantly generous. we just need everybody to do something.
Yep. Agreed.
Just do something.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's, for me, that's like most of my supporters. And praise the Lord, I do have a couple large ones. But I mean, so we go to a very small Southern Baptist church in East Alabama.
Thought you were Presbyterian, bro.
I was originally.
He wakes up Presbyterian, then he goes to church.
Believers baptism, baby. But
let's go. Let's go.
So, but our church, we go to church in Valley, Alabama. If you Google Valley, Alabama, you will learn that the median household income in Valley, Alabama is like $33,000, $38,000, something like that for the household income.
Mm-hmm.
Our church is full of people from Valley, Alabama. But what is so cool to see how the Lord has used those people at $10 a month, $5 a month, $15 a month. It's not, there's not we're all in the 1% of the world.
Yeah, for sure.
We're not in the 1% of the United States.
3 meals a day.
Yeah. 3 meals a day and make more than $32,000 as a household, you are in the top 1%
In
of the
fact,
world.
they've simplified that even more. If you can afford to have a vehicle, just a vehicle that you don't even have to run, you're in the top 1%.
I would argue this. If you can argue about being in the 1%, you're in the 1%. But
let's just say we're all at least in the 2%.
Yeah. But regardless of that, like, it's really cool to see people who, and what they, yes, FCA is a great organization. FCA has been around for 71 years, I think. 1956.
I just know it's 71 years. I'm not good at the maths.
Yeah, I think it's 1956. But
coaches.
What's more important is, like, the people, they care about Trey, they care about JT, they care about their grandchildren and children in the public schools, because let's be honest, the public schools right now, I mean, it is warfare going on there. And being able to, one thing that's really cool about FCA, we are backed by the Supreme Court of the United States. As long as a school has a club of any kind, FCA, by backing of the Supreme Court, is allowed to go into that school. And the way I look at FCA, it is a vehicle that can go in, get kids where they're at, and then ultimately, because part of my testimony is it's nothing without the local church, is to go get them and then plug them into the local church.
Yeah, and I think that's when any parachurch ministry, and specifically FCA, functions the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I love FCA. FCA is a ministry partner, here at the Orchard, and we want it to continue to be, because we love the work that you guys are doing. We love you guys, JT and Trey, both Orchard guys, even though one of them is in Auburn, Alabama, still Orchard guy, one of our peoples. Anyway, I was glad to have you guys on. I will say, if you're listening to this, you made it to the end and you're listening to it on the day that it drops, you still have time to come to this event, because it is going to be tonight, Tuesday, August the 5th at 6:00.
Yeah.
Boom. Nailed it.
Doors will open at 6:30, but we're starting with pizza and drinks and games at 6:00.
Okay. So 6:00, doors open at 6:30 at Christian Fellowship Church here in Lake City. And be cool. Come by, see JT, Trey, say, hey, I listened to you guys today, and show up and support them.
And then you'll be there to listen to JT again.
Yeah.
Hopefully prayers will be appreciated.
Less
You're listening
than
in the morning, even if you aren't able to make it tomorrow. Would love your prayers for these kids that are coming, and for the Lord to use me and Trey in a way that shows who He is. And shameless plug here, I have tried to get Chip to expand the vision statement of the Orchard to include East Alabama. So far, I am unsuccessful.
I haven't seen East Alabama in North Central Florida yet.
That's why I said expand the vision statement.
You just never know what the Lord will do. All right. Well, appreciate you guys being on, and appreciate you all for listening. And we will catch you next week on Let's Talk About That.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Let's Talk About That. We hope it encouraged and challenged you as we continue to grow on this journey of faith and embrace community together. If you have any questions, thoughts, or feedback, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us through our social media channels or visit our website to stay connected. Your support is what makes this podcast impactful. If you found today's discussion meaningful, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, share the episode with a friend, and leave a review. Your engagement helps us spread the message and connect with others who can be encouraged through these conversations. Until next time, we hope this episode inspired you to live out your faith this week. Keep the conversations alive, and remember, we're all on this journey together.